Minister, I too want to welcome you into the House this evening. I also want to welcome our friends and colleagues from AsIAm and thank them for all their advocacy and their help in preparing this report. Contributors have rightly thanked Senator Micheál Carrigy, and I'm going to do that once again. At various meetings we've had, we've learned of the opposition that there was to Senator Carrigy in setting up this committee in the first place. But he stood fast. He stood fast with the help of everybody else, and indeed yourself, Minister, to ensure that this committee would be set up. And I think it's great credit to him that the committee has sat, and the committee has 109 recommendations. And I want to thank you again, Senator Carrigy, for your work on this. I know you come from a personal point of view, but you put that aside to help everybody. It wasn't just a personal crusade, it was a crusade for every child in this country with autism, and I think you deserve great credit for what you did in setting up this committee, and I was proud, and I'm still proud, to be a member of it. Minister, I want to thank you for enacting, at the last meeting we had, you spoke to us about enacting the autism strategy. You carried out that during the summer, and I think it's a very important step forward. And also to thank government for ratifying the optional protocol of the UN Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities. I think that's another important step forward. But another important step forward is for this House to be an autism-friendly Parliament, and I think that's a huge credit to you, Senator Carrigy, as well, and every member of this House who took part in the training that AsIAm assisted with, because that is important that we lead by example, and by leading by example we ensure that every other public building should follow the example of this Parliament and become autism-friendly. Minister, the July programme, as it was known, now the summer programme, has been mentioned by so many people here today, and we all know about the importance of that programme to so many families. It's important because there's one word that comes back and rings in my ears every time I talk to people, and you've just mentioned it there, Minister: routine. And when you talk to families, it is all about routine. It's about those 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever you're lucky enough to get, that the routine is carried on and the children who need it most avail of it most, but also their families avail of it most. And I can't, encourage everybody in government enough, and encourage every party to ensure that whoever manifesto you're reading, that the summer programme is included in it, and it's included for every child, and that every school should be assisted, cajoled. I could use stronger words, but we need to see a summer programme in every school for the routine of those children, because that is vital to the existence of families right throughout this state. And again, it's something that we did an awful lot of work. We did an interim report as part of our committee under Senator Carrigy, and that work has led to more schools taking up the baton, but still, as Senator Carrigy would tell you, there's too many schools not taking up the baton. Minister, school places is something I've spoken to you previously about. I recently attended a number of schools in the Newbridge area. And, I've dealt with families before who've had to ring 30 plus schools to try and get a place for their loved ones, but I was informed of one family who had to ring 47 different schools to try and seek a place for their loved one, and that is not acceptable in this day and age. And I think the average is now down around 35 in that particular area of schools that people and families have to ring. I've mentioned before about the CNOs, the great job they do, but could they do more to assist families? And could there be a central location for school places? And I think that's something we've talked about at our committee, and it's something that AsIAm and indeed yourself have mentioned before. We need to ensure that families are assisted at their time of need, and if there's a school place available, that they're not spending days and hours in 47 different schools and multiple phone calls trying to find that school place for their loved one. Minister, me and you have had back and forward in this room about assessment of need before, and at our last meeting you mentioned that figure could grow to 20,000 by the end of the year. I recognise what you've done. I've recognised your intentions and your very good intentions in trying to get down that figure, but it is totally unacceptable, as you've said before. You've mentioned déjà vu before with me. We need to work on that figure. We need to ensure that assessment of needs and the families that are crying out for an assessment of need are assisted as quickly as they can. And with that comes the CNDT and the services. And in my own area of CHO, we currently have almost 3 families waiting on speech and language for a year or greater, and that is unacceptable, because we all are aware, and no one more than you, Minister, of the benefits of early intervention and how important early intervention is on something like speech and language. But it's not just speech and language, it is the other services that we need to look at and we need to invest. And I know, Minister, you've put an awful effort into this, But we need to make sure that government continue, and whoever comes next continue the work that you've done, because it's just not acceptable that we have so many families crying out for services for their loved ones. A number of senators have talked about employment places, something AsIAm have brought up with us a number of times at our committee, and to have the statistics that autistic people, have some of the worst employment records or unemployment records, whichever way you want to look at it, is simply not good enough. And we need to do more, and we need to create an environment where employers take on autistic persons, and that's something that we need to do and create that. And hopefully that was one of our wishes of our report, by highlighting this, that employers would see the benefits, and there are many, many benefits of hiring someone, and that's something that we all need to say again and again. And I know something that you've said, Minister, and indeed our Chair, Micheál, has said a number of times. Adam would know I'm a big believer in autism-friendly towns, and AsIAm are leading in that. And I just forget the figure, Adam, exactly, but I think it's 30 or plus that you're actually on at the moment. And that is to create the atmosphere that it's okay to bring your child or your adult downtown, and it's okay for them to be themselves in your hometown, and that everybody knows that there's a friendly atmosphere for there. And that is so important to families, that friendly atmosphere is there, and people go about their own way of life and allow autistic families to go about their own way of life without that staring and looking that has happened so often with autistic families that talked to me before. That cannot continue, and I welcome and congratulate AsIAm on the work that they have done on autism-friendly towns, and long may that continue, and long may other towns join in as well. Senator Carrigy spoke about, Dr. Ruddy, the €28,000 cost per year, and I think that was a startling figure for us all when we heard it at the committee, and it's something I know that government have looked at, but I think, again, I'm speaking now probably with an election hat on, every political party needs to look at, because that is an unacceptable figure for any family. The one-stop shops are a great idea, and I know from our meeting the other day that there are some started up, and there's also some in the pipeline, and I would encourage you, Minister, and government to ensure that those one-stop shops are rolled out as quickly as possible. I think that was an immediate ask of the committee, because when you deal with families, there's so many asks, and if they can make up that phone call or call into that premises, then they will get the assistance that they need, and that will assist families indeed. The housing adoption grants, unfortunately I'm running out of time, Minister, there was a welcome that when it's now gone up to 40,000, or a proposal should I say. I don't think that's enough. It should be near 60,000, because that's what families tell me about when they're trying to adapt their grants. But look, 40,000 is a step forward. And I just want to say, in leaving, I brought up a group from my own hometown of Athy, a SNAG Special Needs Action Group. It was one of the many groups that we met on the day. And they are a great group that do tremendous work with about 20 to 30 families every Wednesday night in the local college, where people gather and they talk about their difficulties and they help one another. But the call today, and I leave it with this, Chair, thanks very much. Those groups need to be supported, Minister. They need to get finance. They need to get the support of government, because they're doing a tremendous job. And I know AsIAm would agree with me, but I just want to highlight all those groups in every town in Ireland that are set up that just need support, and they need to be supported. Thank you.